You know what? I don't think that matters as much for that because
I know because nobody wanted it anyway.
Well, yes, okay, that's fine. But realistically speaking, it's a live service game, right? So like,
but it costs
God of War is going to end, huh?
It costs $70 though.
Oh, it does. It costs money.
This is not free to play.
It's not free to play?
No.
Oh my God. Dead in the water.
That's what I mean, sis.
Okay, yeah. I thought this was going to be free to play. Like, I just assumed.
Oh, no. Full price.
Because I didn't get to watch the, like, original Ubisoft, like, when they aired it. So I watched different trailers, but wow. Welcome to the Gaming Trend Podcast, the official podcast of GamingTrend.com. My name is Anthony Shelton, and I am joined by David Burdett.
Hello, everyone.
And Noah Ansaldua.
What's up, gamers?
In this podcast, we're going to talk about the biggest games of the week, or at least as many biggest games that we could talk about. We're going to talk about the games in our backlog that we should have been playing, and we also talk about games you should be playing. Now, this week, a little bit of a slow week, kind of a weird time to relaunch a podcast because, you know, there's no big AAA games. Yeah. Next week's going to be awesome. But this week, we actually do have some interesting games. We got Klonoa Phantasy Reverie Series. That's I don't even know if to call it a remake, but that's there. The Last Clockwinder is a VR game. That's kind of interesting. We got Matchpoint Tennis Championship, which is a tennis sim, and then Naraka Bladepoint, which is a melee battle royale based kind of game. So there's some interesting stuff this week. So every game we talk about will be time stamped, so that way if you're interested in the game, you can just pop right over to that game. That'll be on the YouTube, and if you're listening on audio, and depending on whatever podcast app you are using, you'll be able to do that also for whatever game you want. So that is there for you as well. Now, so the first game, I think the biggest game this week, we'll start with first. Probably not what you would expect, but based on what we have, there's a lot of chatter about it. Let's talk about Klonoa first, shall we? Klonoa holds up pretty well, actually. This game was originally released in 1997, and I forget what PlayStation console that was at the time. Was it PlayStation or PlayStation? I think
it was still original PlayStation.
Yeah. So this is a combination of Klonoa, the first one, and Klonoa 2. So it's the whole package is called Klonoa Phantasy Reverie Series. I never got to play it because I never was a PlayStation guy, but I decided to check out the demo. Well, I won't say I wasn't a PlayStation guy. I just said I couldn't afford a PlayStation. Parents gave me the option, N64 or PlayStation. And it was like, well, I'm already been Nintendo, so N64 is the route I went. Unfortunately, I missed out on Klonoa because played the demo and it's pretty good. It's a 2.5D game and platformer, and yeah, I wish I would have been exposed to this back in 1997 because this game is dope. Like it's one of those games. It's kind of weird because it's very cutesy. It's not difficult. It's not a difficult game, but the varied ways they have you platform through the space is what makes it really interesting. Like, if I were to compare it to, like, something like Super Mario Land, where you're literally just going right to left or left to right, and you're just shooting stuff and collecting coins, and, it's like the most simplistic version of Mario in all of Mario. And then you have Klonoa, which is simplistic in its presentation, but it's not complex, but the way they use the space is interesting. And one of the, I guess, good parts about it is, so first of all, I don't know what the frick Klonoa is. I don't know if it's a dog bear, a fox dog. I don't know what it is. It is some sort of anthropomorphic cat dog thing with long ears with hands at the tips of them. Yeah. It sounds creepy like Elden Ring, but it's not. But it's cutesy hands at the end of its ears. I don't even know if those things are ears, but it's just long ear-looking things with hands.
That are also wings.
Yes, that too. So multifunctional child creature thing can grab stuff. And so one of the cool things about it is when you grab stuff, that actually enables your double jump. So you have a double jump, but you can't use it until you've grabbed something. So you grab something, I guess you'll kind of suck it in with this little magical ring you have, and then he'll grab it with his little ears, and then when you want to use a double jump, he'll like throw the enemy under his feet and like push off of him for the second jump. And that opens up the variety of ways you can get up or, just move around the different space. And you can throw enemies as well once you grab them. So there's like different variables of platforming based just on the double jump that really make things interesting, especially when you start getting into the collectibles, because you don't have to, but there are collectible gems you can get. And there's like a whole bunch of them through the level. And some of them are really hard to get. Like you have to utilize your double jumps and like different things in order to grab them. Obviously, the best platformers with collectibles all utilize that in different ways, but the way Klonoa does it feels unique. Like it's really
so
cool.
You're gonna be plotting a lot more around the enemies of the stage when you're trying to get these harder to get ones, rather than just the let me back up as far as I can to the edge of this ledge and then run and jump off of it. It's less timing based and more how can I plot my environment around it.
Yeah, there is some like skill-based platforming involved. It's not skill-based like Celeste. It's not that difficult, but it uses the similar concept. It's just more intermediate when it gets to those kind of things. It's not expert like Celeste or, Hollow Knight or something like that, where it's like really skill-based platforming. And I feel like it's refreshing because it's not like beating you down with like this crazy difficulty or anything, but it's interesting to navigate. It's fun to get through. And then like it's not just moving from left to right. The spaces like rotate, which is where the kind of 2.5D, and then there's branching pathways too, like multiple. So
it's not something you see in a lot of platformers like that.
No. So some of them are just like you go into a cave. Others are you're on the same plane, but you can go up or you can go down, and then it'll lead you to a different way. But you're still like moving right to left or left to right, right?
Yeah.
So it's like
still going forward.
Yeah.
And you go up, and then the whole camera will like turn, and then it'll like change like where you're looking at. It's like really cool in that way because you can't even see the other pathway if you're on this path, and then because of the way the camera like kind of moves with it. And like thinking like that's a PlayStation game, like I can't even imagine how that like would have functioned on the PlayStation, like because of how it feels like there's so many moving parts in this like remaster, but it's probably all there back there. It just feels like kind of like it could be like a modern game that came out like a few years ago.
It does feel that way. It feels exactly that, and it helps that they updated the look of it. They have an option where you can go into like pixelated mode, which I guess looks more like the PlayStation. But it's default. All the pixels are smoothed out. The colors are vibrant. It looks really good. So, it's a fun game. The Klonoa, I forget what the first one is called, something of the Phantom Mile or something like that. That demo, I think, is like 30 minutes. The Klonoa 2 demo is like 15 minutes, but the level, it's like one long level where Klonoa is 2 levels. But Klonoa 2, that is pretty much the exact same game. So we're like back in the period where the sequel is basically the same game, but they throw like a little bit of the tougher stuff from the first game at the beginning. So that's kind of what Klonoa 2 feels like. Like it's just like, this game. So we're just going to throw the stuff at you and new stuff is going to come up. They don't really have a lot of differences in that demo compared to the first one in terms of platforming differences. But it feels like I can tell they're going to try some different stuff. Like in the Klonoa 2, like they use the 2.5D a little bit differently. You can throw away from the screen, right? Like you can't throw towards the screen, you can't throw enemies towards the screen, but you can throw it away. And so like there's one part in Klonoa 2 in the demo where there's a bell and you'll have to like time when you throw an enemy to hit the bell as it's swinging, so that way it can like knock down a wall or something like that. So like it is kind of interesting. Like I didn't see any of that in the first game, but I do wonder like if you got later into the first game, like that kind of stuff starts showing up. So I wonder just how much of each uses it. Obviously the game's been released before, so people know what they're going to get. But for people like myself or Noah who haven't played it, like if this feels like a game that can and could have come out today, and it feels good for a platformer. Like I am a platformer junkie, so this, yeah, I like this. I like this a lot.
Is it only single player, or do they have any like other modes or anything like that?
There's like it is like mostly single player. There's like a support mode, but it's like basically the support mode in like the new Kirby game or Mario Odyssey,
like
where you can just
kind of like happy.
It's like you give an extra jump to the person. It's like really not. I don't think it's really fleshed out.
Yeah, it feels more like something along the lines of like Mario Galaxy, where like the second player can like pick up the extra star pieces or something. Okay. So it's very much supporting the first player. So I think that extra jump, you know, just kind of makes life easier for the first player. So it's not a proper 2-player game. I'm not even sure that was in the original. So I think the original is strictly a single player game, no support options or anything like that. So, but I mean, it's there. You know, I think that's really beneficial for Switch players because that probably is something Switch players take advantage of. But you know, if you're playing on an Xbox, it's like whatever.
In the same vein, do you think, what age range would you place this in? Because obviously platformers aren't as prevalent as they have been. Nintendo's really the one who still does that. Is this something that, you know, is a parent's going to be able to go and get for their kid for the Xbox? Is it going to be more of the higher skill gap like a Crash? Or like, what do you think on that one?
No, this is definitely geared towards the Nintendo audience.
Okay. It's very kid friendly for sure.
Absolutely. I mean, it even has a story, but the story feels kind of half baked. So I don't know. I thought
the story was kind of cool because like I don't play many platformers that go to that length to have like that kind of really fleshed out first few cutscenes to like get you into it. I was like, dang, that's like they're putting in work to like get you invested in this. And I don't even know what's going on yet. But then when you get to the beginning of the second, or to the end of the second level, and you get introduced to the boss, and like the dialogue is all like PS1 level like recording, and I love it because it's like all garbled and it feels like a little weird, a little like Inscription like in the like the way the dialogue's coming out.
They talk more like I'm Rob.
Yeah. But it's like got this like distortion to it. Like it feels like garbled a little bit, so it's pretty cool. Like I was kind of looking to, like I was wishing there was a third level in the demo because I wanted to see more like what was happening and understand it. It did like make me ask a lot of questions.
Yeah, it's I just don't know how many connections there will be by the end.
Yeah.
So like I don't know if it's one of those platformers where they put in a more fleshed out story than something like Mario or Kirby, but it's still not that fleshed out. Like it's not really worth having in the game in the first place. So, you know, I don't know if it's going to be better than something, you know, like like Donkey Kong 64 story wasn't like great, but you know, like it connected it, you know, it kind of got you through, you know, like I don't know if that's what this is or it's just like not going to make much sense by the end. So I don't know, but it's got potential. We'll see.
Also, Klonoa has a hat with a Pac-Man on it for some reason.
He does.
I have no idea why.
And so that opens up a whole new world. Like, does Klonoa live in a universe where he knows where Pac-Man is? Like,
I have no idea what's going on there.
Yeah. It's fascinating.
It says that Klonoa, this is on the the fandom wiki. Says Klonoa was designed by Yoshihiko Arai, and he added a large hat with a Pac-Man emblem on it and collar to give the character a childlike and energetic quality. Like, were they just allowed to do? Like, I don't know, like the history of like the publisher. Or
Well,
whatever,
Klonoa is
There's
Namco.
some pretty-
Namco.
so they just okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I
Klonoa's
guess it
Namco.
does-
So yeah,
it
yeah.
does drive questions of like, okay, so are there like arcade cabinets in Klonoa or in Klonoa's world?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Get ready for the
Does he know about-
Pac-Man metaverse.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
The multiverse is upon us. Well, the cool thing is, it looks like our other David played Klonoa and gave it an 85 out of 100, saying that it was great.
Yeah, it feels great just off of the demo. Obviously, needing to play more and seeing how the platforming expands. But just off of the first, 15, 30 minutes, I'm like, okay, this has potential. I want to play more of this. That's where I'm at. I want to play more of this. And if that demo made me feel that way, that's a good thing. Obviously.
Yeah.
Shouldn't state the obvious, but that's how this works. All right. Let's talk about the Last Clockwinder.
Last Clockwinder. I am actually working on the review for that right now. I've been playing my way through it.
Oh, you're reviewing it. Oh,
Yes,
I didn't realize
I'm actually working on a review for this one. So this one technically released back at the beginning of June, but it only made its way onto the Oculus Quest, I believe, as of like the very end of June. So this is a recent release for the Oculus Quest. It comes in at about $24.99 on the Oculus Store as well as on Steam, so you can buy it and run it through like a different VR. But with this one, it may be the like most chill puzzle game that I've played like in VR ever. And the thing is with VR, everybody's looking to give you that experience. Like that's what VR is. It's supposed to be. That's why horror games do so well, is because they're looking for those. Oh, you know what? If we got something attached to your face, we can jump scare you all we want.
Yeah, take me deep.
Yeah, with puzzle games, they work perfectly for it, but you're usually going to be trying to do something a little bit more intensive. Like, I know one of them is like I expect you to die or something like that. I forget the name exactly of it, but like your hand is inside a bomb and you're like trying to get it off essentially.
Goodness
and stuff.
gracious.
Like there's just the way that a lot of puzzle games are on VR. Like maybe it's just me, maybe I've not played enough of them, but it seems like they're looking for a very much more intense experience. Whereas the Last Clockwinder is like one of the most chill games that I've played in a while. I don't know if either of you have ever played The Vanishing of Ethan Carter, or what's the name of the other one? Everybody's Gone to the Rapture, like the narrative, like the walking simulator almost kind of games.
Yeah.
Where you're walking around, you're picking stuff up, you're figuring out kind of the story behind things. This goes that way a lot in VR, and I've not really experienced a lot of this. They're still more heavy on the puzzle elements, but then as you go through these different rooms in this, I guess I should set the stage. You're going into this big tree that's essentially a clock tower, is what it actually is, and you are, for some reason, the person who was the caretaker of it is gone. She tried to automate a lot of the systems to be ran by machines. And so the tree is going to be destroyed if water rises up the trunk. She's gone, water's rising, so you're having to go back there and kind of rediscover your childhood that you had spent there and all these different things that leads up to the way the game ends. So what's really interesting with all of this is you go through and you're actually finding, instead of them just putting things right in your face, which is a little bit tougher to do because, VR, you don't have as many, especially if it's going to run on the Quest, you can't have as many assets running at the same time. You can't have all these different character models and AI and all that kind of stuff running. So they're going with the said, the more minimal narrative element where you get a call on your radio in between these different puzzles that you're doing and talk with someone, a friend from your past, as well as you have audio logs that you listen to that have you as a child with this other person, and it's kind of just building its way up. So it's just a really, really cool way of presenting this, but also doing it with the whole puzzle idea. Now, puzzle idea is interesting because you are trying to re-automate, since it's only you there, you're trying to re-automate some of these processes that are in the place. And for whatever reason, you can't pick up a piece of fruit and just walk, because that's what powers this whole thing or whatnot. You can't pick it up and walk across the room really and just chuck it in. You're supposed to be making these little clone robots that are doing these processes. So it was really interesting. You kind of get that feeling that you do in Portal when you solve them of, yeah, I just figured this out.
Yeah.
Of like, and the cool thing is what you're doing is you're actually making the motions yourself. So you're recording yourself doing something with a, like, there's a timestamp that you can put on of 1, 2, or 4 seconds. And then when it's finished, it creates this little robot that is doing the thing that you just did. And
yeah,
so
that's super dope.
Yeah, so you're spending this whole time just doing this, and like I kind of lost track of time a bit doing it, because they've got like on the side of the wall, they've got like these, I guess, kind of challenges of like have a smaller amount of clones, but be producing this much, because you're like throwing them in the collection bin of the fruit, like be producing this much per minute, but have less clones doing it. So like I was like sitting there trying to get double out of one of the clones and actually ended up going back and redoing my entire first room, because I realized, oh, I'm only getting 1 fruit picked and put in the collection basket when I could get 2 in the time that I've got with how much time I have for this character. So it's just, it continues to get a little bit more and more complex, but in the end, like there was some really intense, like hitting it, like stabbing it with this thing and throwing it across the room to this area. Then I'd have to go over there, and I was literally would have to catch it in midair, stab it again, throw it to another part of the room. And like, it's just this like crazy, what, I don't know what the word exactly is of those machines that people build that like you tip over a domino and it makes the Rube Gold. It's like it feels almost like you're doing a Rube Goldberg kind of thing, even if it's not as like wacky, of just how you're figuring these puzzles out. And then sometimes you'll look and you'll be like, man, I just totally, it worked, but I took the hardest route to do this.
Yeah.
Because I had one where I was like chucking this like 3-pronged thing of like nucleus of fruit across the room to this other spot so I could grab it and chuck it somewhere else. And I looked next to me and I'm like, or I looked across and I'm like, crap, I literally threw it from that area. And there's a thing that the thing that I needed is right there on my right. If I'd have just, and it's what's funny is it's not something that would happen if you were playing this as a regular video game, because you're playing it in VR. So your focus is just kind of, you kind of have blinders on, and you need to be looking around a little bit more to figure out these things out, because you don't have a HUD or any of these other things giving you this extra information. Even in the game itself, you have a couple of hints, and that's it. Like they give you kind of this is how you need to go to get started. And then from there, you're figuring it all out on your own. So it's just really cool the way that they have put all of this together. It's a really nice looking game. VR games don't tend to be too visually intensive. They just don't have the ability to, given the amount of power that is having to be used to render the world in general that you get. So it's a really good looking game, and I really like I actually brought this up in the review. I really like one of the tricks that they use to get the most out of their processing power instead of like walking through a door and and like having to reload like the entire place, it's kind of this, you pull you choose, it's like you choose a floor and it vanishes down, and then the next floor comes back up with the next floor that you chose. So it's like everything else around you, including like the outdoors with your radio, even the outskirts of the room, including the walk up to kind of the loft area, all the same, but the floor itself changes. So it's just a very smart use of a very smart trick to get around what I imagine is a lot of processing power needed to render things and keep you from being in constant loading screens.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, because based on, I mean, I watched a little bit of somebody playing it just to get an idea of what this game looked like, and it seemed like, so the where you go to change floors, first of all, you have to have enough fruit to get to another floor, and then there's like a little. Yeah, there's like a little like pin you put on this globe looking thing that has like hundreds of hexagons all over
it's
them.
It's not all 100, thankfully.
Yeah, but it looks like so many, right? So it's like, yeah, if there really are like even like 50 of them, and you gotta somehow like have all this data stored on the game and have the processing power on the VRs. Handle that, that you got to figure something out, because obviously VR just doesn't have the same processing power. So it is an interesting thing, and it's not really that jarring. Like at first I was watching it, I was just like, why in the world is this floor? But after a while, it's just like whatever. This is the way the game works. Like maybe this is how the clock tower works. Sure, like you just change the floors and nothing else, and everything else just operates as normal. But yeah, it does look cool. The best part where I was watching it, I was confused at first, and I was like, what is going on? And then I realized, like, oh frick, these little droids are copying the ability. Like they're just doing the thing he just did. And I feel like if I guess you mentioned this was a game before it became VR, I'm like, this feels like the way the game should be played, because your ability to be able to, like, the way he was doing it, like there's a lever to let the fruit drop into the little chute that it needs to go to. So he had a droid basically. So he had this copy ability. There's this lever, and he was just like doing this for like 2 seconds.
Yes, exactly.
And then and then the droid appears, and it's like, it's just doing this over and over and over.
Exactly the same.
And it's like, holy frick, this is nuts. Like, this is really cool concept. And this sounds like a really cool puzzle game.
Have y'all like
something neat?
Yeah, it looks awesome. Like, have y'all played Dishonored 2? Because this gives me like Jindosh's mansion vibes, like where you get to the room, and like that's exactly what this is, because it's like the clock tower aesthetic. It's like that whole thing, but like in this tiny little VR game that looks really cool. And then the other thing, like about the clones, it's like it's got to be like one of the best, like most elegant ways to introduce like programming, like concepts to like people, to like kids or whoever's like whatever age this would be appropriate for. I don't know. I mean, because that is like literally what programming is. It's just like telling it to do this or this or this, but it's like very practical and very hands-on. Like, like just, this is what I want you to do, clone, and then the clone will do it. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's super most basic form. Yes, that is programming, but I feel like Game Builder Garage would do a better job.
Yeah, for sure. But like conceptually,
understand
it's like a cool entry point.
Yeah. Yeah, the last Clockwinder. That's what is that all that on?
It should be on Steam as well as the Oculus Quest. It's actually on the actual, you can download it straight to your Oculus Quest.
And I imagine you can use it on all the VR sets, yeah.
I would imagine, obviously PlayStation VR, it's not available on there yet, so that would be the only one that it wouldn't be for. But I think it's a lot of fun. There is a little bit of where it gets kind of repetitious, especially when you're like, man, I'm stabbing like 500 fruits here just to get all this. But it doesn't overstay its welcome either. The game's about 6 hours long, and it's not intensive in the sense of like, yes, you've got to do master these different kind of movements to get things going, and it does do a lot of the same thing, but it doesn't go so overboard that that's all you're doing the entire time. Like there's these little break times where you're going and said listening to the narrative or going to find seeds or having to backtrack a little bit to figure a couple things out.
Yeah, that looks cool. By the way, Klonoa Phantasy Reverie Series, that's available on Switch, I believe, Xbox, PlayStation, and I think PC. I believe that is the case.
It was reviewed on PC from us, actually.
Okay. So yeah, it's pretty much on everything that matters at this point. So I don't know if you guys know, but we have a Discord.
Woo!
So yeah, we have a Discord. So if you're watching this or listening to this and you are enjoying the conversation and you would love to share your opinions with us and tell us how wrong or right we are, and just keep the conversation going, then join our Discord. It is a gaming trend. You can search that up, and
we will have a link in the description below.
I will do that. Yes, I was just about to say that. Absolutely. I will also put that in the podcast notes for whatever podcast app you use. So, all right, let's talk about Naraka Bladepoint. I like it, but the controls are the reason I don't want any more of this. So, this is a melee-based battle royale. Conceptually, love the idea. Playing the game feels pretty good. The animations are smooth. The melee is fun. I'm enjoying it. You get into these battles and they don't end very quickly. So everything about a battle royale that you understand that's in a battle royale is pretty much in Naraka Bladepoint. There's shields of some sort. There's health replenishing, shield replenishing. You'll have different weapons, different levels of those weapons. I guess the one difference for this game is there's a grappling hook that helps you traverse a little bit faster. It's got limited ammo, so you got to constantly look for those too. There are also little different items that I hadn't quite figured out what they do. There's shops inside the field where you can buy certain things. You could buy items that you could normally pick up just searching around and looting and whatnot, but you could actually buy them. So there's like also currency. Everybody, if you kill somebody, there's currency that drops off of them. So, you know, you could just steal that off of their body. So all that battle royale stuff is there. The problem is that there are also guns. Not too many. I think there might be one, but the one gun really messes up the controls. So the default controls for this game is... actually, I'll just ask you this. What do you think the default melee button would be for a melee-based game?
This is on controller?
Yes.
Or
with a controller.
I mean, if I'm on controller, then it's either like, if it's an Xbox controller, it's either X or square, or it would be one of my triggers. That would be my idea.
I would agree with that.
Yeah, so it's the right trigger. That's your default melee. Meanwhile, you have jumping, you have the grapple ability, you have a dash, which is defaulted to your B button, which is really odd to me.
Makes sense to me. That's roll button for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but that's also your sprint button. So if you hold it down, you'll sprint, but that also doubles as your dodge as well. And then I guess there's a cooldown that I really can't find where you can sense where the cooldown is. I don't know. It's got this. So you start sprinting and then this meter fills up, but you keep on sprinting. So I don't know what that meter is actually supposed to convey because it doesn't like cool down necessarily when you're done sprinting. But if you do your 2 dodges, you can't sprint or you can't dodge again until after a certain time. And I can't tell when. Yeah, I can't tell when that is. So I don't know what that's about. But everything is mapped so weird that even I tried to customize controls the way I wanted to, and you can, thankfully. So you can move a whole bunch of stuff around. There's one button you cannot change. I don't remember what it is off the top of my head. But basically, you can pretty much map everything the way you want. But even still. Oh, it's sprint. You can't map sprint. I wanted to map sprint to the right trigger because I've played a lot of games where that is a sprint option. So to me, that works. I couldn't do it, though. So I was fumbling around with controls the entire time. And while most of the fighting part, the combat, I was fine with, there were still some elements where I was getting all messed up because I couldn't sprint and run away properly. So I was just getting gimped. It was very annoying.
Do you think this is part of it coming from Asian territories? Because I know they have some different like button ideas when it comes to standard.
I've played other like free to play kind of games like these. I haven't really experienced default controls like this or control limitations like this. I mean, even for Japanese games, right? Like usually jump is, if you're on the Switch, for example, number one, the X and the Y are flipped on the Switch, right? So that's different. A and B is flipped. So, me growing up on Nintendo, like that's easy for my brain to go back to, oh yeah, I'm playing Nintendo right now. So this is jump, this is, whatever and whatnot. So
gotcha.
That's different. If you play Final Fantasy, like there are some button different, it's like, well, this is odd, but you get used to it. No, it's like, it just feels weird. So that alone was annoying. I do feel like the inventory management is awkward. It has a mix of Fortnite and Apex. So if you kill somebody, loot pops out like in Fortnite. Everything's on the ground. And it's really bad at separating when items are really close together. So I'm like looking at stuff way too long. It's like I need to pick up this grappling hook, but I keep looking at this white glaive that I don't want to pick up. Can I? I got. There we go. Okay, now I grabbed it. Great. And then if there is also, when you open your inventory, that's what it is. When you open your inventory, it acts like Apex Legends when you look through somebody's dead body's box. So like Fortnite, you kill somebody, everything pops out, but when you look through your own inventory, it's more like Apex Legends, and the list of stuff is long because there are so many items. It is a long list of stuff. I'm like, this is not the interface you want for a battle royale when you're trying to get through things quickly.
Compare that to like PUBG and like Escape from Tarkov when you just go to like, it'll show like nearby items that we're talking about, and it's just like all there.
It's not even nearby items. It's
just
what's in your inventory.
Gotcha.
And like on your left side of the screen is just like all the stuff. Now it's ordered in such a way where it's like, I think weapons, armor, health regen, stuff like that. But there's so many things. Like you have to scroll in order to get through a lot of stuff. It's just
I'm looking at it right now. It kind of makes me think of an MMO, which is those are confusing in and of themselves half the time.
Yeah, it's not confusing to look at. It's just a lot to look at. So that's the main problem. When you're doing a BR, you have to move quickly. Yeah, you have to move quickly because as you're looting, you can hear the footsteps, and you don't want to get gimped.
So I have a funny issue with this game, and it's mainly the fact that like I think I'm sure it'll do well. It'll find its audience. But it's similar to PUBG with me. Like PUBG was such a big deal with how it captured everyone when it came to BRs. That was the first like mainstream BR. It was coming to Xbox. Everybody was super excited about it. And then it came out and there was a paywall. And Naraka doesn't necessarily have a paywall in the sense of Game Pass. But Naraka, if you do not have Game Pass, costs $20 or more, depending on the edition you want. Same with on PC. So it's mainly the thing of I understand Game Pass is always there, but when you put yourself behind a paywall like that, there's other things I can play for free. Eventually, someone else is going to come out with something, and it's going to be fun, but I can play it for free. So
yeah, I think
I
this
just
one's
don't
so
like the
unique
idea of
though.
paywalling it.
Yeah, I think this one's so unique though that there's other battle royales you could play, and most people are already playing them. So the people who want Naraka are playing it. So I feel like that it's okay for them to do that, because who else has a melee based? Well, I guess Rumbleverse now is coming out in a few days, so like that's coming. But like at this point, there's nothing quite like Naraka Bladepoint with its setting, the type of weapons it has, things like that. So I feel like they could get away with it. Like I'm not mad at them for charging.
No.
Like I don't think every battle royale has to be a free to play game.
Oh yeah, and I agree with that. It's just one of those things of a lot of times because of the others you can get left behind, which it's currently the 29th game in the most played on Xbox, which isn't bad.
Yeah, that's not bad at all. I feel like that is just right for that game. Yeah. But it's good. I do like it. I just wish the controls were better.
Yeah,
like, I just wish I could map every single control the way I wanted to. Because if I could, yeah, I'd still be playing that. I'd be playing a lot of it. It is fun. I mostly played against like different difficulties of bots, and I just know that if I play against humans, I'm gonna get my butt kicked because there's a skill gap that's definitely there, and I wish there was a way to familiarize yourself with different weapons. Like Apex Legends has its like training mode where you can just hop into it and just play with weapons. This doesn't have that. If it does, I didn't see it. So there's a lot of different weapons that do different things. Like I picked up this legendary weapon that's basically like this grinder, like it's almost like spins up like a minigun, and it just grinds this drill, and you could just run into people and just put them in a corner and trap them. Like if you can get it going, like it's a sweet weapon. Leaves you open, but man, once you get somebody, you gonna get them. So different stuff like that. That is fun. So I imagine there's more fun weapons like that. So I don't know. I feel like what we have of it right now is probably as good as it's gonna get. But it's a fine game. It is a fine game.
So is there a reason to play other characters? Like, is it just a standard like? You're just picking a skin, or is there actually differences to like abilities or whatnot?
No, there are different abilities. So you're mostly choosing off of skills and ultimates. So every character does have an ultimate. I stuck with the default character just so I could get more used to the game. That's just usually how I do these kind of games. I just stick with one character. But she has this like the ultimate that's like a stun ability. So charge it, and everybody within the vicinity has this like purple beam that's connected to them. And if they're still connected to that purple beam by the time it goes off, they're stunned for like 7 seconds. Like it's a long time. So you can get off some really big attacks on them and do some serious damage. Obviously, they wake up after you hit them, but it might be too late for them by that. And then she has another skill where she can basically knock you away with this like purple wave thing that she throws out. So yeah, every character has something different. But I didn't play with any of the rest of them.
The control problem sounds like it's one of the few or one of those third person games where playing on mouse and keyboard actually feels better than not, because it sounds like there's a lot going on, and the menu sounds like it's literally they did nothing to make it fit for controller, and it all is like still tied to like being most optimized for using a mouse and just dragging stuff over to where you want it to be.
Probably because it came from PC.
Yeah, I do want to be fair. Like there are control options. Again, you can totally remap except for like the sprint, at least for the way I wanted to do it. But they do have like different default control options you can use for, I think they have one for like sword style. Like if you like using swords, like this is the control style you want to use. If you do want to use a gun, like this is the control style you want to use. I don't know how useful that is at the end of the day, because in BRs you kind of just got to roll with what you got until you can find something, or if you find something you want, right? So, but I also didn't get into a scenario where I felt like I couldn't find something that I wanted to use instead of the thing that I first picked up, right? So I guess it could be fine. But yeah, there are different options, but it does feel like it's more optimized for PC in terms of controls. All right, let's the last game was a Matchpoint Tennis Championship. I like tennis. I am a tennis guy. And this is one of those games where I just never got it. And everybody else gets it, and I don't. I don't know why, but I just could not be as good as everybody else, which bothers me because I don't normally have that problem. Like, I'm not much of a simulator player of the sports type. I'd rather like go outside and play the sports. So I have most experience with NBA 2K as far as like sports simulators, but I don't have a problem in NBA 2K getting good at it. Like if I really wanted to spend the time, I could get good at it. I don't, because I spend my time otherwise. But with Matchpoint Tennis Championship, I just felt like I could never get it. And I'm reading online, because I at some point I was just like, all right, how are other people viewing this? And other people are like, man, yeah, this game is so easy. You could put the ball exactly where you want. The AI is not that great and all this stuff. And I'm like, why am I getting crushed then? So there's so in this game, and I don't know if other tennis simulators do this, because I don't have experience with other, Top Spin, AO Tennis, Virtua Tennis, all that kind of stuff. So in this game, the way you pinpoint the ball where you want it to go, there's an indicator. It looks like a shadow, a little small disc that you can move around on the other side of the person's court. And that determines where the ball's going to go, basically. So you hit it, and then once the other person hits it back, that's when that indicator shows up. So you move it with your left stick, and by the time you hit it, depending on, the hit option you did and stuff, it should generally land where you put your indicator. Okay, pretty simple. My problem is that I also have to move my character to the spot where I want to go while I'm also trying to control this indicator that shows up.
Right.
That's all done with the left stick. So if I want to hit my shot to the left side of the court, but I have to run to the right, then I'm running to the right while also trying to get my indicator in a place where I want to put the shot where I want on the left. And that's really difficult to do all at the same time without overcompensating and hitting it out of bounds. And so it's super frustrating. Now, I was also reading, I guess, it's one of those where if you just jerk the direction that you want, the player will just automatically run to where the ball will be, so that way you can spend more time focusing on the indicator. But it just never felt like I would be in the place that I would want to be. So I don't know if I just don't trust the automatic movement enough to feel free to just fully control the indicator properly. But either way, like, I have to jerk it in the right direction. So as soon as the opponent hits it, like, I have to at least put it in the right direction, which is enough, at least a second of the indicator moving in the wrong direction. Now I have to compensate again to put it in the right direction. Yeah, it's so frustrating. It's so frustrating. Apparently everybody else was getting it. I could not. And so, yeah, it's that alone was like, yeah, I'm done with this. This is not going to be a fun experience from now on. It's also really boring. Like, I don't know if you guys have watched tennis. It's mildly exciting at times. They score a point, golf claps. I'm like, there are people cheering after points in tennis. Like, what is happening? And then everything the broadcasters say is negative. Every time I did something wrong, they had something to say. But if I did something good, crickets, nothing. Like, y'all suck. Y'all really, really biased MFers. Like, I don't like y'all. Customization is also very European centric. Let's just put it that way. I don't get what they're doing. If I wanted to create me as a brother, I cannot unless I choose the correct head. So I can't change my skin color unless the default head has the skin color. So the skin color of the person who has, or the head of the person who has my skin color is like this straight European dude with like slick hair and all this. And I'm like, the blackest person that they got is just straight African. So they ain't really gotten any black people in it. You can't make a black person if you wanted to. There's no hairstyles like black people. I'm like, 2 of the top tennis players who are particularly women are black, and y'all can't figure this out. Y'all can't just you just can't make that.
It's just
There's one from Compton, for crying out loud. Like, y'all just can't make this. So yeah, that's really annoying. Clothing, they don't even have brands. Asics, Adidas. I think Reebok has like brands with tennis. So that's not even in there. You just get these ugly default stuff. So yeah, this I was hoping it would be decent, but it is not, unfortunately.
missed opportunities.
That's certainly what this is. So, all right. Let us get into the news. We got quite a bit to talk about. All right. So, Rockstar is no longer updating Red Dead Online. So, what's going on with that? They're not going to do any more major updates. So, they'll still do quality of life updates. They'll do content updates like seasonal stuff, but anything huge like that's done. And the point is so they can focus on Grand Theft Auto 6 or whatever the next one will be. So I don't know. Red Dead Online never took off in the first place.
You go where the money's at.
Yeah.
The money's in GTA. It's not in Red Dead, sadly. People, just like you said, people aren't buying it. They even put it out as a $20 its own thing, and for like 3 months you could buy it for $5. I mean, they did everything they did everything they could do to get people to play it. It's not like they just straight up said, "Well, nope, it's been out for 2 months. We're done."
No, but it felt like that. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. Red Dead. I haven't played GTA Online, but Red Dead Online just didn't hit for me. I was like, this is boring.
Sometimes you just get it wrong.
Yeah. That's what I felt like. Bayonetta 3 is coming October 28th. So that came out of nowhere. So thanks, Nintendo.
For
part of the announcement,
something else in October.
I know. Like, what?
We just finally got
October,
Forspoken delayed, and then they put Bayonetta 3 out on the same day as Modern Warfare 2.
Is that the same day?
Same day.
Oh my gosh. Different audience, I imagine.
Not competing with each other
No.
at all. So
No. Still weird though.
Yeah.
There's people like us who want to play all kinds of stuff. So part of the announcement mentioned that I guess there's going to be a naive angel mode, which basically adds closed Bayonetta in scenes in which you would be otherwise uncovered. And, people are people are all mixed about this kind of thing. Like,
it's an optional thing. Like, I don't get why you're upset about it. Like, to me, all you're doing is you're letting other people play it. That might not play it otherwise.
Yeah. The female empowerment stuff. That That's what that mostly conversation. I've seen plenty of headlines where it's like they made her less sexy, and I'm like, are we suggesting like you got to take clothes off to be sexy? Like,
but it's still in the game. It's just like a win for teenagers who like are afraid their mom's gonna walk in and be like, "Yo,
right?
Yeah.
Yes, exactly." But here's the thing. Here's also the reality that I think a lot of people are missing. Bayonetta was in Smash, so a lot of people have been exposed to Bayonetta who were not otherwise exposed to Bayonetta. So now that there's a Bayonetta 3, she's in Smash, people are going to want to play Bayonetta. Yep. And some of those people may not be age appropriate for Bayonetta because we all know the game industry is not actually, following the ESRB in terms of, stopping children from playing M-rated games and all that stuff. So, which I'm not saying that's necessarily their responsibility. I'm just saying that's the reality. So this covers their butt on that end.
Funny story.
It's smart.
Funny story. My poor little brother always had the worst luck of, and I'm sure it's everybody did, but the worst luck of the whole old meme thing of your parent walking into the room when something was going on. And my brother was playing Fallout 3, never had any issues or anything. My dad starts playing Fallout 3, and within an hour, he walks into a warehouse and the F word is painted in huge letters across it. And guess who had to trade in his copy of Fallout 3? No. My little brother.
Yep.
I felt so bad. He was like, I've been across this whole map and I haven't found that.
Yep. That's how it goes.
Yep.
Noah went to the Apex Legends Championship. That happened this past weekend. I watched it. It was fantastic. You went to it, though.
Yeah. I was all the way in Raleigh, North Carolina. So when the tickets got announced, I was like, all right, I'm going to look at the prices and see if I can even get them. And then I looked and they were only $50 for 4 days. And I was like, well, that's a steal. So then I clicked it. I bought it. It was way more than that because Ticketmaster likes to charge you just for existing. And also I was like, oh dang, I just bought these tickets and how am I gonna get to Raleigh, North Carolina? I don't have any money. I literally just got out of college and I don't have a job, and I'm like I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna do this. So then I went to St. Louis for like 4th of July. My girlfriend went with me. I bought her the ticket also to go to Raleigh. And my friend said he could pick us up from an airport in Charlotte, which is because he's from South Carolina. So like we coordinated this whole huge plan to get us to ALGS championships, and it worked. It paid off, and ALGS was like the time of my life. Oh my gosh, it was insane. This is the first big LAN tourney where there's actually an audience since like year 1 of Apex. So really, it's like Apex Legends' first big LAN tourney. Like it might as well be. And it was really, really awesome. There's like probably at least a few thousand people there supporting various teams. There are like so many cool like storylines to follow. I was supporting like TSM Imperial Hal, Reps, and Verholst. And they're amazing, but they did not play the best. A little disappointing. But there's like so much that I was like just like the spectacle of everything was like beautiful. It was like all like very like red and like bright and amazing and just like huge. And it was in the PNC Arena, so that's like where the Canes play. They're like a lower league hockey team. But it was really cool. The announcers were awesome. There's like Fallout and Vicky Kitty were two of the best ones there. There was like a ton of things to do. There's like cosplayers, like as like EA approved cosplayers, doing like Revenant cosplay and Caustic cosplay. That was super cool to see. I got to meet Imperial Hal. I got to meet Verholst and Reps and like so many ALGS, so many like professional Apex players. I was like in awe. And the games themselves and sitting there and like watching on the screens and like hearing the commentators and like being able to interact with them was amazing. And the crowd was just like top notch because so there's like two things I want to mention. There is this one team, this Australian team called Team Burger. They're unsigned. They made it all the way to Apex ALGS champs, and they're insanely good. and they don't have
Yeah, they were putting in work.
Yeah, they were. They made it all the way to finals, and they performed there even. Um, and they don't have an organization yet, but like within the first 2 days, they got such like a big fan base just out of nowhere. Like by the second day, they were called the Burger Brigade, and they printed out all these burgers and they were handing them out like burgers on paper. They were handing them out through the crowd, like just organize, like fans organized this. They're handing them out through the crowd, and they all like lifted up anytime Burger did anything. And then by
Oh my
like
gosh.
third day, they had a chant, and it was like infectious because they would go big juicy burger, big juicy, and it was like huge.
That's
So
goofy.
that was insane, and I'm sure that Team Burger is going to be signed to like an organization within like the next month, and
Nice.
because they have to be, they played out of their minds, and they have the ability to get like that big of a crowd. So that was insane. And then the other thing I want to mention is Pulverex. They were this Japanese duo because their third player got their visa denied, and
Oh.
yeah, so the first day they got knocked in the losers round, but they were like consistently scoring points, and they were like 11th or 12th. Like they barely got knocked into the losers round because it's top 10 moves on. So they barely got knocked in the loser round. Then they played out of their minds in the losers round one. They made it to losers round two, which is only top 10 of the losers round, goes to that out of 20. And then, even in losers round two, they still played really well for a duo. Like they were outplaying like full squads of professional players. Like they're professional players as well, but like there are only two of them. So it was like
Yeah.
insane. Everyone in the crowd was going Pulverex, Pulverex, and like at one point, one of the Pulverex players like did like the little double arm flex.
Yeah.
So everyone was doing that. It was huge. It was a moment. It was amazing to be there. It really was.
Yeah, that's awesome. So Dark Zero was the one who won. They won. I guess
Right.
this is their second time winning. There's only been two, and they won both.
See,
So-
they won the playoff split too. Like so, this
Okay.
last playoff before this, they won back to back LAN tournaments. But that last tournament, there wasn't a huge audience to watch. But
yeah, so that's an Australian team. So congrats to Dark Zero for taking it.
Nice.
Ubisoft revealed Skull and Bones. My God, it finally is. It's a game. I don't know if you knew, but it exists. So Skull and Bones is basically it's going to be released November 8th, 2022, day before God of War Ragnarok.
Sea of Creed.
Yes. Yeah, I was trying to figure out what you said. I was like, okay.
Sea of Creed.
Sea of Creed. Yeah, it's it's a pirate themed game, and you'll steer boats, complete objectives, engage in PvP. Very much Sea of Thieves type of stuff, just in Ubisoft form. You know what that looks like at this point, and if you don't, I guess great for you. But yeah, there's several kind of boats that you can use. They have boats that specialize in shipping cargo across the ocean, so they're a little bit faster, but they are easier to destroy. They have offensive boats. They're offensive. They're meant to blow other ships up, but they're harder to control. And then you have I forgot what the last ship was actually, but they have another ship. I don't. But they'll have different kinds of ships that specialize in different things. I wonder how that works out, because, like, why wouldn't you hit the ocean with an offensive ship? You know, like if this is going to be a PvP kind of game, then if you get gimped, you're not gonna, right? Like,
I'm sure it's going to be like a meta thing of like, what is the meta of the ships? Like, obviously the offensive one could be really powerful, but if you have one that's more armored, that controls easier, even though it doesn't pack as much of a punch, maybe it survives longer than the offensive one, and that becomes the meta, you know? I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm guessing. I'm putting the same amount of effort into my guess as they put into this game. Because let's be honest, the only reason this game is even coming out is because they have to put it out, because they took like $120 million from the Singapore government.
Oh, I didn't know about that.
Yeah, they did that, meaning they have to put this game out. So they're going to have to figure this out as they go along and just hope that it works. I mean, I immediately posted a GIF of Jack Sparrow in the first Pirates movie coming in to port as his ship is sinking. Because that's what this felt like, especially considering it launches the day before arguably one of the biggest games of the year.
You know what? I don't think that matters as much for that because
I know, because nobody wanted it anyway.
Well, yes, okay, that's fine, but realistically speaking, it's a live service game, right? So like,
but it costs
God of War is going to end, huh?
It costs $70 though.
Oh, it does. It costs money.
This is not free to play.
It's not free to play?
No.
Oh my God. Dead in the water.
That's what I mean, sis.
Okay, yeah. I thought this was going to be free to play. Like, I just assumed.
Oh, no. Full price.
Because I didn't get to watch the, like, original Ubisoft, like, when they aired it. So I watched different trailers, but wow.
Sea of Thieves was full price, too. So there's a blueprint for this to actually go well eventually.
Yes.
Yeah.
Essentially, when it goes to PlayStation
Premium,
when it becomes a PlayStation Premium game, that's when everything will go right, because God knows it probably will, considering Ubisoft has their deal with PlayStation now for PlayStation Plus Extra.
Mm.
Okay. Well,
I don't know. They don't either.
That's really unfortunate. I'm not as down on this game than most.
It could
people,
be fine.
but
It's not $70.
Yeah, it's not $70 fun.
Yeah.
It's gonna be $70 on all platforms.
I think it's still gonna be $60 on last gen, but who gives a crap? Like, it still costs money. It still costs $10 difference is not changing my opinion on this game.
Yeah. That's gonna be rough.
Yeah.
All right. Well. Speaking of failures, GameStop is going to be shifting their focus to NFTs and their layoffs, as well as Game Informer layoffs. So here's a quote from a company memo, thanks to Stephen Totillo. Quote says, "This means eliminating excess costs." Like, this is the reason why they're doing this. This means eliminating excess costs and opening with an intense owner's mentality. Everyone in the organization must become even more hands-on and embrace a heightened level of accountability for results. That's in a company memo. So, that's the mindset they have with this whole NFT thing. Like, this is grassroots, so if you're going to do this, you need an ownership mentality and put in the work. So, along with that, Game Informer has lost 50% of its staff since the beginning of the year. So that also includes this. So
they were already bare bones as it was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's like 4 people there now?
I don't even know.
It's not a lot.
I know one of the ones on the podcast, and he just put out a tweet today. He was like, "I just did my first editing work for the magazine." It's like, oh my gosh, this is not good.
Yeah, it's not good in the slightest. And the sad thing is Game Informer is a recognized and trusted source. They're not like, at least in my opinion, they're not like a lot of the other mainstream outlets where you get a little bit of shovelware in there with, or it feels paid. Game Informer's never felt that way to me. It's always felt like very honest people. Especially, I've always loved Andy McNamara, who's now at EA. Like, he's phenomenal, was a phenomenal part of that, which thank goodness he got away before this happened.
Yeah, I mean, I always felt Game Informer was, it didn't have the depth that I wanted in terms of like getting into the games, but it never felt like it was. It always felt like it was written for the fans, right? So like, it gave you the information you needed. It felt fair. It felt excited. Like they didn't want to. Right. They didn't want to down a game just because it always felt like they wanted to give a game a chance until it actually failed.
This isn't Kotaku's Fighters Uncaged for the Connect review.
I did not read that. So
it's literally a paragraph because the person refused to review it.
Oh, there you go. So yeah, there's none of that with Game Informer, but yeah, I mean, I subscribed to them for a very long time, but the day they got absorbed by, or I don't know, absorbed is not the right word, but when they got bought by GameStop, that was, at the time I didn't have the foresight to see this day coming, because all the digital stuff is what has led GameStop to the position it's in right now, and them not being able to adapt to it very well, which has affected Game Informer. But something in me was just like, this is not the right move. And like I think I was in high school at the time, like this happened, like late high school, maybe early college, and it was like, yo, this is not the move. I don't like this move. Like hooking up with a retailer. Yeah. Like just from a journalistic standpoint, that was like, okay, as long as they could keep their, what they were doing. And they did. But even from, just being hooked up with a retailer, like you rise or sink with them. And right now they're sinking, which is really unfortunate. I hopefully somehow I hope that they could stay afloat, because Game Informer is one of the staples of the games industry media.
Yep.
Now, this is good news. Well, maybe. Who knows? Respawn is working on a new first-person shooter in the Apex Legends universe. I want to make this very clear. Hold on. Respawn is working on a first-person shooter.
Do my Arthur
in the Apex Legends universe. Okay. In case you are unaware, the Apex Legends universe is a universe inside the Titanfall universe. There is no Apex Legends.
We're never getting Titanfall
without
3.
Titanfall. No.
They've abandoned. When you start referring to the universe as the Apex Legends universe, we've already lost. I mean, they've given up on Titanfall, and I hate it so much because it's one of the best. The multiplayer in the first one was so much fun. It may have lost its way a bit in the second one, but the campaign is one of the best shooter campaigns that's ever been made.
Okay, I'm about to give you some hope, though. Okay? Noah's like, I love Apex Legends, so this is fine. But I'm going to give you hope, David. All right? Apex Legends is set in the Titanfall universe, okay? So it is a Titanfall. These are characters within Titanfall. So they could be conceptualizing a new Titanfall with Apex characters and universe, robots, all that stuff, just using the named characters from Apex. That could be an option here, because they're conceptualizing. Like, this is the stage they're at. Like, this isn't. So as much as it's like a lot of outlets were saying like they're developing, like they're conceptualizing. There's nothing that they're concretely working on. This is Respawn doing their thing, tinkering, figuring stuff out. Maybe this comes out to something, maybe this doesn't. Like, that's how Titanfall came to be. Like, it was nothing, and then they messed around with stuff, and then they're like, oh, we like this. Let's keep going with this. And Titanfall was born. Same with Apex Legends. So maybe this is that.
It's going to be Apex Legends, Titanfall.
Titanfall 3. Apex Legends, Titanfall 3. That would be, that would be such a slap in the face. I don't know, like this.
Just go ahead and give us the middle finger already, EA.
Yeah. So there's job listings saying this, that call the job title, I guess, Apex Universe FPS Incubation. So like that's the stage they're in. This total like incubating. Like the egg isn't even like fully formed yet. So this is like very like at the bottom where they're at right now. So like there's nothing there basically. So
still feels like this is where we've gone, like where EA's gone before with like Battlefield Bad Company. Like it's the same feeling.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, I think it would be easier to attract more people to the idea of being a part of incubating something for Apex Legends than Titanfall at this point.
I get that. I do get that.
I know, I just got to say it for the people, you know? Because I'm with you. I'm like, Apex Legends universe? Seriously, this is Titanfall.
It's literally
like,
the Titanfall universe.
But
You pitched us Apex Legends on the back of Titanfall.
Yes! That's exactly what happened.
Oh, gosh.
If you're listening and you're a diehard fan of Titanfall 1 and 2, there is a battle royale out there that you probably would like. It's got a lot of the the skeleton of Titanfall.
Stop.
It's just in a battle royale form.
It doesn't have Titans. It doesn't have Titans.
We've seen some test footage of some Titans in Apex, and let me tell you, I hope they never come to Apex.
Oh my God. Wow, you about to set off a firestorm by saying that.
No one who plays
gosh.
Titanfall and Titanfall 2 actually Titans are the pinnacle of the experience. It's the movie.
No, it's not. You're right. It's not the pinnacle, but it adds such a different flavor while in the match. Without breaking it up. Like it doesn't feel like it's two separate things happening. It feels married all together. So, like, honestly, like Titanfall doesn't do as well as it does without the Titans. Like, plain and simple. Like, I don't.
I almost never climbed in mine. Like I used it but it was cool to be able to have it as an attack with me.
Yes,
kind of thing.
Like the options you could, like I got in mind. I used it how I felt it needed to be used, whether it was remote or I controlled it. But Titanfall is not Titanfall without the robots. Obviously, the movement is what really sold it for people. So it would be nice to have something, even it could be a, Apex Legends style, traditional deathmatch style game, multiplayer game with all like the dope movement that Titanfall has had forever. Who knows what it could be, but like, yes, the movement is everything, but Titanfall is still not Titanfall without the Titans. Like this just is what it is.
Tell you what as well, there's nothing like hearing that announcer stand by for Titanfall.
Oh God, yeah.
Dude.
And then seeing it fall out the sky, like
especially if you hit somebody with it.
Yes. The Last of Us Part 1 remake, Robert Morrison, an animator with Naughty Dog, responded to the idea that the Last of Us remake is not a cash grab, which a lot of people feel. He has a tweet out. It says, actually, it's the most meticulously built and crafted project that I have ever seen or been a part of in my entire career. The highest level of care and attention to detail possible. End quote. Both can be true.
Yep.
It could be a crash grab and the most meticulously crafted thing ever. And so I don't know. Sometimes you just gotta let people vent and let just people. You don't need to try to defend everything because this isn't actually saying anything. This isn't responding to the actual issue at hand, which is just because it's meticulously crafted doesn't mean Naughty Dog or PlayStation is capitalizing on this but we can't complain too much. We have 15 versions of Skyrim.
Yeah, I don't see it as much as a cash grab as I see it as a what is it that I'm trying to say here? I see it more as just it's too soon.
Yes.
Which is why that is how we're seeing
big cash grab.
Yeah. But I am looking forward to Klonoa Phantasy Reverie Series Remastered HD Collection in 3 years from now. Because that's going to be fire.
That's not a cash grab right there. That is how you properly.
No. I'm saying if they just brought these, what we have right now in 3 years from now and just like upped their res a little bit, that would be, to me, that's what we reworked it from the ground up, but still, like, do you need to?
Yeah. I mean, it does look nice.
It does, yes. Like,
it does.
His animation work went off, I'm sure.
but still a cash grab. Like I do agree with the sentiment because it's too early. It is too early. Dr. Disrespect's game is a PvPvE, which is actually not what I expected from Dr. Disrespect. I thought it would be just pure PvP because, you know, he's Dr. Disrespect. So he gave it a tentative title name. It's called Project Moon right now. And every 6 weeks, Midnight Society, which is the name of his developer, will release what they're calling snapshots, which are vertical slices of the full game. So it's just little pieces of the full game. Every 6 weeks, he'll let people play it and give feedback. So, yeah. Is anybody interested in this? Oh, yeah, there's NFTs, right?
Yep, there's NFTs. That's pretty much a basis of the game. Maybe he'll do something different, but
so like extraction-based shooters aren't really like that appealing to me. Like I like Escape from Tarkov and the new like Cycle Frontier game. All those types of games to me and like Hunt Showdown, they don't. I don't know. Like Doctor Disrespect is always talking about like it needs to be a battle royale. They should have had a battle royale. That like this battle royale is not good. And then he comes out and says, "This is what I'm going to make. I'm going to make this extraction shooter with like the player counts of a battle royale and like the feel of a tactical shooter." That sounds like a lot. Sounds really ambitious for a studio's first game, and also it's all tied like to NFTs in like 6 weeks. Like everyone can kind of give their like the community gives their feedback on the game. Like it just sounds like a lot of things coming together to like. And I don't know that they're going to fit well and they're going to meld well.
It sounds
together.
like wanting to have your cake and eat it too.
Yeah.
Well, by the time this game comes out, BRs and extraction-based shooters are probably like... There will be the BRs, Apex and Fortnite, maybe a little PUBG, and then, extraction-based shooters, I don't think they're going to last by the time this game comes out. So by the time it comes out, it's going to be more like, what was that game coming out by Cliff Lesinski that fell off?
Oh, which one?
The latest one.
There were two. There was Lawbreakers and there was Radical Heights.
Yeah, I was more thinking about Lawbreakers. Lawbreakers had more potential.
Lawbreakers was
Radical
a better
Heights.
Game. Well, it wasn't thrown together in the last second ditch effort to save the studio.
Yeah. So, this feels like it's going to be more Lawbreakers, where it's just like it's too little, too late. Like the ship has sailed. The games that are established have established themselves, and that's what the people are going to play. Like
that's really the main thing.
There's not much you're going to be able to do about it. That's where I feel like this is going to be by the time it comes out.
But it has NFTs. It's so different.
Oh yeah. So no, there's nothing to say to that. Yep. Skate 4 will be a free-to-play game called Skate with a period. Like actual period on the back of Skate. So this is a quote from Darren Chung from The Verge's interview with him. It's an automatic evolution of the franchise and taking what Skate 3 was in 2010 and bringing it to now and to the future. So Skate will be on PC, PlayStation, and Xbox with crossplay and cross-progression. Chung also says it's going to be Skate. It's going to feel like Skate. It will be a Skate game. So I feel like that's what he needed to say because the fact that it's free to play really gets people up in arms. I don't know why. Like, if the game is good, the game is good. You don't have to engage with the microtransactions. So if it's going to be Skate, it's going to feel like Skate, and it will be a Skate game with a period, then we should be good. Like, outside of the period, like, the idea of Skate 4 being kind of this open world skate game where you're just kind of doing stuff, and apparently there will be community created content as well. What's the difference if you can do that for $60 or you can do that for free, right? Like, if it's good, it's good. That's what it should matter. It being a free-to-play game does not automatically make it bad. That's not how video games work. And if you think that's how that works, you're missing out on quite a few good video games. But Skate can be good despite it being free to play. I think there are some people stuck in the idea of there's going to be some systems implemented that will make me grind for stuff. And I feel like we're kind of past that stage unless a company is just straight up being greedy, which you could totally go in that direction with EA. 100% understandable. But it doesn't, I don't know. I really don't get the impression from this Verge interview that that's the direction they're going or that they have to go. It kind of almost sounds like EA's giving them a little bit of freedom to create the Skate game that they want to create. It just needs to be free to play. They said cosmetics and what was it? It was cosmetics and there's another word he used.
Convenience?
Convenience. Yes, cosmetics and convenience is what you would pay for. So convenience, I don't know, that could be taken in a few ways. Convenience could be like double XP.
Right.
To help speed up your leveling up. Convenience could be I don't know, but that's probably the most shakiest word, convenience. But cosmetics, like we've been doing this for a while now, like that's safe. I think that's safe. I don't know. I think Skate will be fine.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. I think the fact that they can show the pre-alpha footage, as they call it in the trailer, that first trailer that they dropped, speaks a lot to two things. It speaks to the brand recognition of Skate and how much people have been clamoring for it, that they can just feel like, oh yeah, we can throw it on there and just everyone will go crazy for it. And then also to how much confidence they have in their team to make a product that is worth people's time. And then like with the convenience thing, it does kind of worry me a little bit, but also when I think about Skate, it's like, well, what are they going to like bar you from that would be considered convenient that you would have to pay for? And like, if it is XP, what does that really matter in a game like Skate, where most things are like skill based and otherwise you're just kind of having fun and vibing in the world and like pulling off some tricks every now and then? It's like it doesn't sound like it'll be too much of a hassle, but obviously we don't know what it's going to be like until we get to that point. Maybe you're going to have to like build your whole skateboard and you're just going to be walking around and $10 to buy some wheels. But I don't think it's going to be like that. And I don't know. I guess we'll see how it is.
I feel like at this point, if you develop something that feels like even 4 years ago, like you're just doing it straight up wrong at this point. Like there's so many examples of successful free-to-play games that profit off of just cosmetics and some light conveniences, that doing anything outside of that, especially for a game like this, just does not make any sense. Like you're shooting yourself in the foot to do anything else. Yep. So even though EA is publishing it, like that's, EA always has their roundabouts. They get into really bad spots and then they become good for a while. Maybe this is the start of them becoming good. They're starting with Skate and letting Respawn do their thing, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was going to say. Like you look at Respawn and you get Jedi Fallen Order and then this new Jedi game, and then they've let them do pretty much a good job with Apex Legends. So, there's hope. There's reason for hope.
To be fair, Vince Zampella earned a lot of that.
That's true. That's true.
He earned that. But also, to be fair, like the people who've been making Skate are still working on this. So perhaps the clout that they have is enough for EA to be like, just make the game. We'll be okay. Sony introduces a new PlayStation loyalty program. This was today. You'll earn rewards by completing campaigns, and activities. I'll just read off from the article. Our quote-unquote monthly check-in campaign simply requires you to play any game to receive a reward, while other campaigns require you to win tournaments, earn specific trophies, or even be the first player to platinum a blockbuster title in your local time zone. That's quite a task. All PlayStation Stars members, which that's what it's called, PlayStation Stars. I forgot to mention that. All PlayStation Stars members will have opportunities to earn loyalty points. Points can be redeemed in a catalog that may include PlayStation Network wallet funds and select PlayStation Store products. As an additional benefit, PlayStation Plus members enrolled in PlayStation Stars automatically earn points for purchase on PlayStation Store. God, that's a lot of PlayStation. Also, as a part of PlayStation Stars, we are unveiling a new type of reward called digital collectibles. They are digital representations of things that PlayStation fans enjoy, including figurines of beloved and iconic characters from games and other forms of entertainment, as well as cherished devices that tap into Sony's history of innovations. There will always be a new collectible to learn and ultra rare collectibles to strive for, or something surprising to collect just for fun. That right there sounded like that should have been an NFT at some point. Like there was rumors that that was NFT.
It definitely was at one point. There's no way it wasn't.
Could have been, but in the end, they made the right choice and were like, NFTs, what are you talking about? Because they literally said that in the follow-up when they were asked about it. They're like, nope, that's not an NFT.
Mm-hmm.
Certainly has the vibe of one, because I'm like, okay, you have a digital collection of stuff of representation of figurines.
Well, they said there's no trading them, there's no selling them. So that's an automatic, like where it's gone. And then I don't know that they are serial numbered, so to speak, specifically to you.
I doubt it. If you can't trade them or anything like that, that there's no need for that.
Yep.
But it's one of those things. It's just like, I don't. This love fest with digital goods is weird to me.
Yeah.
Like I can understand within a game, but now we're talking about stuff just outside of game to collect and just have in your PlayStation Network ID. I don't know. Like what's the value in that? I don't see it.
Yeah.
All right, so that is.
Are you talking about the digital collectibles, like specifically that, or
yeah,
like the whole? Okay,
like what's the value for that? Like,
yeah.
Like why would anybody spend any PlayStation points on that stuff, right? Like when you could save it for things like games or other,
which is what I'm gonna do.
Yeah,
right.
I'm sure it would be cheaper. Like I'm not gonna say I don't think it would be expensive, but still, like why spend any points on that stuff?
Yeah, for sure.
All right, that's the news. That's all we got. That's it for us. We're done.
Woo!
It's the first Gaming Trend podcast.
Yeah.
New name. Yes. Feels good.
It does.
Feels
good to be official. It's like when you and your significant other make it official. Like, yeah, it's my girlfriend or whatever. It's great. So appreciate you listening. Appreciate you watching. Yeah.
We all went up to Ron and said, "You ready to take this to the next level?"
Yeah. Because we're ready. You ready? We're here. So appreciate you listening. Appreciate you watching. You can follow us on YouTube, of course. Subscribe. Keep up with us. And also check out the Discord so you can continue the conversation there, because we would love to chat with you about video games. That is what we do. So my name is Anthony Shelton. This is David Burdett. It's Noah Ansaldua. We'll talk to you later.
Goodbye.
Why did you sound like the little the phone hang of it? Goodbye.
Yeah.